If I wanted to get rich again as soon as possible, I'd start an agency. I launched an agency with no money, which later I sold for more money than I'll ever need to PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the biggest accounts companies in the world. Today, I'm going to teach you the 10 steps anyone can take to start an agency with no money and easily make $2,000 a month. For those of you that have even more ambition, you can even learn how to sell for millions of dollars, just like I did. Building this agency fluid took me 15 years to figure out. But if I'd known what I'm about to teach you today, I guarantee it would have only taken me a few years. These are the topics we're going to cover today. Picking your niche, finding a partner, how to start with no money, how to get customers, marketing hacks I love, how to build a team, the secret to selling, and the second secret to selling no one wants you to know, how to build a brand, and how to ensure you sell your company for as much money as you want. Now let's get started. So let's start with pick your niche. Now you might have heard people talk about niches. I think you probably know. I'm going to assume you know what a niche is, right? It's basically a specialized area. I think actually you'll be surprised how many companies started off in niches. Nearly every successful big company today started off in a niche space. Apple originally was trying to appeal to creatives who cared about what the actual device looked like. The image was, it's for the crazy ones. They did this ad all against IBM showing that they weren't IBM, they were Apple. They picked a niche, and then once that niche, everybody bought it. Everyone wanted to be like designers and creative and be cool, so the other people bought it, right? That weren't in the niche. So picking your niche is really important. In the agency world, there's loads of different ways. So for example, this isn't what I did, but this is something you could do. You can look at, for example, social media. That is actually a niche, servicing social media. Let's say you went even more niche and you said, I'm only servicing people on Instagram. Then you can go even nicher than that and say, I'm only going on social media, on Instagram for influencers that are doing good things in the world. And then you can say, and then women. I'm only helping women who are doing good on Instagram, in social media. Now, that might sound like, well, why would I cut off other client options for myself? The reason niche is so powerful is because you know exactly who you're targeting. And I'm gonna get into targeting a little bit later with marketing and so on. But like, it really helps you understand who your client is. And more importantly, they will see you as the specialist for their particular needs, their particular niche. You'll understand them better if you pick a niche. So that's why at the beginning it's so important. What did I do at Fluid? I looked at the market, and back in those days, this is gonna sound crazy, the niche was doing digital. We were the only company that were doing creative ideas, creative execution, but thinking first in a digital format. This is back in 2001, when most people had stopped even thinking about digital. The dot-com had just collapsed. Everyone thought digital was a scam. They were telling me the internet was a scam back then. Kind of is, kind of isn't, right? Like everything out there. But the point I'm making is, I picked the digital niche back in those days. And that meant every brand, including my competition, used my company to help them because they saw me as the expert in digital and they didn't want to do digital. They didn't want to build digital up. They thought it was a small market, idiots, right? But they thought it was a small market and they didn't want to be there. So we owned it. My company Fluid in Hong Kong became the #1 digital agency in that market within 12 months because we owned the niche. We can say we're the #1 in something because we owned the niche. And then later we ate the whole market. Because once we knew digital and we were the best at it, and these other companies didn't want to do digital, everybody wanted digital, so everyone came to us and then they'd ask us to do billboards and print ads and social media marketing and all these other things that came later. We got it all because we started in a niche. So pick your niche, and the one way to define niche, to help you think about your niche, #1, what do you like to do? And not enough people ask this of themselves. If you really like Instagram, but you're not a big fan of TikTok, then focus on Instagram. If you really love making coffee, then focus on coffee shops, and going to work with them side by side. Whatever it is, try to link it to something you just enjoy doing. It sounds mad, but like you can make a lot of money doing what you love, despite what your education told you, that you shouldn't be frivolous and have fun, and you can't make money if you do bullshit. Pick something you love. The second thing to really think about when you think about a niche is like, what matters to you? What problem do you want to solve in the world? If you want to stop the oceans getting polluted, for example, then try to make your niche with businesses that are solving a problem that matters to you. What problem do you want to solve? It also can be very personal. And then finally, I reckon people should pick niches that are fun. Fun for you, okay? Now, for some people, traveling isn't fun, believe it or not. I actually met someone yesterday who said they don't like traveling, so probably focusing in on the traveling niche probably isn't for them. They're scared of flying and they get anxious and they don't enjoy it. So, but like thinking about something that's going to be really fun for you, something you enjoy doing and solving a problem you care about, if you own that niche, your life, your personal life will be really, really good. And that will allow you to carry on going, which half the time is the reason businesses succeed is because they follow through. You follow through. So that's picking your niche. Next up is find a partner. Okay, finding a partner. Now, I know for a lot of you out there, you're probably searching for love right now, right? How do you do it? You kind of know what you like, you know what you don't like, you know yourself a bit, hopefully. Then it makes it easier if you know yourself to pick a partner. One of the things I always say to people is that I'd rather own 5% of a really successful business than 100% of a failure. And so percentage of ownership doesn't really matter. If you have a really successful business, it doesn't matter if you have less of a percent. My business Fluid that I built into this massive company, I did 50-50 with Helen Griffiths. Best decision I ever made, because if I'd done it on my own, it probably wouldn't have been a fraction as successful. I'd like to think if she did it without me, it wouldn't have been as successful. Probably not, she probably would have been okay. But the point I'm getting to is that your partner in life is probably, actually your actual partner in life, who you end up being with, whether you marry them or not, whoever you're with, will dramatically affect your life. It will really make a difference. And it's the same in business, it's no different. If you can find the right people around you, it will blow your business up. So how do you find a partner? Maybe this is a question you're gonna ask yourself. Number one, list your moral code. Okay, and this might sound hard, but like list things that you're not willing to do. So for example, in Fluid, Helen, at the time, she taught me important lessons. She didn't want to work with tobacco companies, right? I don't want to work with tobacco companies either. But back then, I was a little bit more like, I want to make money, I want to make money, I want to make money. Tobacco companies were paying a lot of money to help market their products, right? Equivalent today is probably vape companies, right? They're evil, these people. So list the companies you're not willing to work for. List the people you're not willing to work for. You know, like for me, I would never work with property people that sell property. I hate that business. You know, list out your kind of moral codes, what you're not willing to do. And then list out your, what we call personality traits, right? So now I'm an extrovert. I do like time on my own too, but I'm an extrovert. And I actually work quite well with introverts, because if you have two extroverts, then we both want to be in front of the camera, we both want to be on social media, we might have a little bit of butting heads. Now, I've seen it work where people both want to be on social media, but I think it's much healthier if you actually have very different interests. So list your personality traits, the things that you like to do, and then maybe you want the opposite with the same moral code as you, but the opposite in your personal traits. So if you're really bad at accounts and numbers, you probably want someone that's really good on accounts and numbers. If you're really bad on paperwork, like I am, you want someone that's really organized and building infrastructure. But then you might want to find someone who doesn't like to be in front of the camera, like I like to be. So you get what I mean? Like you've got to make sure your personality traits piece is really clear. And then finally, there's a high chance you're going to spend the next 10 years with this person. If you follow all my advice for the rest of the video, you might build this business up in 2 years, but you don't want to build a business to sell it. So you want to build a business that you enjoy. So I think that the kind of fun test, again, I'm going to use this word fun much more in business going forward. You've got to include the word fun in your business much more. When you meet this person, is it fun? Have you got the same sense of humor? Are you going to be able to joke with each other without, getting into trouble joking? Can you relax around them? Because you want to have that feeling. And I'd go one step further finally on the partner, and it's meet their connections, right? So if you like them, they're fun, they've got the same moral code as you, meet their partner, meet their family, because there's a high chance you'll be spending Sunday lunch with them. There's a high chance you'll be spending evenings with them and their family. You need to see if their family are on their side, and you need to see if their family is a match with your family. I know it sounds crazy and going too deep, but you want the perfect partnership, do this. The final thing I'll tell you very quickly is, with the partner you pick, make sure your aim is the same for whatever business you're starting. So for me and Helen, when we partnered up 50-50, we both just wanted to build a brand we were proud of. We both wanted to work in a company that we liked. We wanted to create an environment where people enjoyed the work. Now, there'll be people that just care about making money. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to judge that part, but I will say that you just want to make sure you're aligned with the end goal. So the end goal for you and the end goal for them is the same. What do you both really want? And check it, be honest with each other, because if one person wants to be a global company and you just want to be a local company, it's probably going to end up in a sad state, because one person wants to take the profit and open up another office, the other person wants to take a profit and put it in their pocket. So you've got to really think, what is your goals together if you can. So that's partners. Next up is how to start a business with no money, because you might have heard all this partner stuff and you might be thinking, great, you might know your niche, but you might not have any money, right? So how can you start a business with no money? I know a lot of you will have no money. And I would say to you that there's a couple of reasons you've probably got no money. One is your costs are too high. You're just spending money you shouldn't be at weekends and so on. Because if you haven't got 200 quid in your bank to do your first bit of promotion or something, then there's something seriously wrong with your life. So I can't fix that for you. You have to fix it for you. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to say, if you want to start a business with your own money, is get your costs down. Right? And when you're young, you can live really cheap. And yes, I was kicked out of home at 15, so I didn't have this luxury, but living at home in your parents' spare room, do it. Put up with the pain. Don't rush off to university or any of that. Don't waste money and time just to get out of the house, right? Leverage that while you can. Get your cost down to zero, right? That's that. To start a business with zero, you kind of want to get your cost to as little as possible. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to do stuff that you don't want to do to make money to do the stuff you do want to do. So for example, I started a gardening company. I don't like gardening. I didn't want to be a gardener, but it was quick money and I didn't need the equipment. I used the equipment of the person in the house. I didn't need the equipment. I used the equipment in the house. So I could start a gardening company today by knocking on a door, using the gardening equipment of the person who owns the house and saying, I'll take care of that garden, 200 quid, yes or no. And they say yes. I got loads of people to say yes. So I was able to start that business instantly with no money. Now, it's not the business that you maybe want to do when we're talking about in this video, but it can get you 200 quid this weekend by taking care of someone's garden. Or I can get you 200 quid this weekend by cleaning some windows or cleaning a car. It's not glamorous, but it will get you the money you need to start with zero. And actually with the agency business, the really exciting thing, so first of all, like make simple, dumb money. Okay, make simple, dumb money. I should probably get it done on a t-shirt. Make simple, dumb money. Don't overthink it. It's not your future. People will judge you while you're doing it. Later, they'll be envious of you when you've got a really successful agency. Just get some money in the bank, right? And then finally, payment methods are not deliberately taught at school, so you don't understand how this works. You don't need money to start a business. You don't. Listen to me. Your subconscious is going to tell you this isn't true. It is true. You don't need money. I'll give you an example. The first client I ever got at Fluid, they basically told me what they needed done, and I had no computers, I had no team, no nothing. They told me what their problem was, and then I told them verbally the solution. They said, that's great, we'd like you to do it. And I said, sure. And I worked out my cost to do the work that was needed. I wrote down the amount that was going to cost me. I added 100% to that. And then I said to them, the cost, so for example, the cost to do the work, for me to actually action the work was $1,000. And I said to them, I will charge you $2,000 to do the work, and I want a 50% deposit now. They say, yes, this is normal business. You're not taught this at school, but it's absolutely fucking normal. If someone says they want you to do something, you want a deposit. You want to buy a car from Elon, you got to put a deposit down. You want to buy anything, you got to put a deposit down, or buy it right there and then. Deposit, 50%, it's normal. Accept it as normal. Some clients will still say no to this. I'm not paying a deposit, I haven't seen the work yet. Then don't do it. Find clients that will pay you 50% deposit. You don't want those sorts of clients anyway. If they're not willing to trust you and give you 50% deposit, then don't work with them. Once you've got the $1,000 and you have all the money, you can't go bankrupt. You have all the money to do the work, executing on everything. That included at the time buying a computer and hiring someone to do the work. I knew that was my cost and they paid it to me straight away. Once the work was done, 2 weeks later, I gave them the project delivered. They paid me the other $2,000 within 10 days. I did 10 days payment method. I made £1,000. It cost me nothing. Done. Right? Learn this payment system. Be strong with clients. Be confident with clients. If they don't feel your confidence, they won't give you the 50%. And if they won't give you the 50%, you can't start a business with zero. Default back to cleaning cars and washing windows. But you don't need money to start a business. Get it out of your head that you do. So learn the accounts method I've just taught you. And remember to be confident. Okay? Be confident. And it might mean that you might need to say no to some twats. That's it. Some people that don't get it. They're not real fucking business people if they're not willing to give you 50%, right? So fuck them. Learn this method, you can start a business with zero. Next up, how to get customers. Now, I'm gonna actually say how to get a customer. Let's take out the S for the minute, right? No S, right? No S. You just need one customer. One customer. If you can get one customer, and again, I think back to my early days, I had no money. I did the 50% rule to get one customer, right? So that's one way, you get them to pay you. But I would have probably done that first project for free, because once you have one customer, the holy grail to getting more customers is having a customer that recommends you, right? Having a referral program. Now, a referral program when you first hear it, you might think, oh, this is very complicated. I've got to set up special links with discounts and all. No, it's so simple. That first customer that I got, I did a really good job. I delivered, and then I said to them, please will you give me 10 other customers that you know might need my service, or even better, can you recommend me to 10 people? You know what they did? They recommended me to 30 people. They sent 30 emails out the next day saying, I've just been working with Simon and his team. They did a great job. I thought you might like their service too. Here's their information. And people don't ask. Now, there are what I'm going to call advanced referral systems. Advanced referral systems are, I call this step 2 in the referral program. Step 1 is just ask people. We don't need to give them any incentive other than just to do the right thing. A lot of people want to help you. You'll be so surprised. Just ask, okay? And then give them a template. So I just asked someone the other day to refer me, someone really famous actually, and they said, sure, Simon, I'll refer you. Send me an email. I can just forward on to the person you want me to forward it on to, right? I want them to forward it on to Elon Musk. So I wrote the email so they could just forward it on to Elon Musk, okay? I made it easy for them to refer me, okay? So I think you use the advanced referral system when it comes to like trying to incentivize people beyond just asking people. So for example, you might say, and I helped someone start an education box business. And in this space, there's about 45 influencers that all talk about education. We did a program where we offered them 10% of every order that they sent through to the company. We gave them a special link. Okay, and there's loads of sites that will help you do this. Referral sites, there's millions on. We'll put one example down in the comments below. But you can just use the existing software that's out there. It doesn't have to cost you any money. And you set up a special referral link for someone to refer you. And if they refer you and you make money and they make money, then you both make money. It doesn't cost you any money in marketing because you're actually only paying them when they bring you a lead, right? That's advanced referral. And then finally, build a brand, not a business. The easiest way to get customers is via brand, okay? So build a brand, not a business. And to build a brand very quickly, I've done a whole long video about how to build a brand, but in very simple terms, it's like, what's your story? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? Have a reason to be here. This actually links back to niche, by the way. If you build a brand in a niche and you do a good job, that's your story. So think about your brand story. That is how you get customers, because people were saying, so I work with Simon at Fluid. Wow, Fluid's amazing. Have you been to their office? It's so much fun. And you know what? They did this extra stuff for me that I wasn't expecting. And I just think they're great. That type of thing, right? You really want people to love your brand, and that's how you get customers. When people love your brand. It doesn't matter how small you are as a company, still think brand. That will help you scale. Next up is marketing hacks. Now, when I first say marketing to you, your brain could probably explode thinking about all the things you could be doing. And there are a lot of things. I always love the David Ogilvy quote, someone quite famous in the ad agency business, who said 50% of what he spends on advertising is wasted. He just doesn't know what 50%. And the truth is, it is like that. So I do events in my present business, and it costs a lot of money to do events. That's marketing. And what's the instant return? Well, often years later, these people become clients or partners. So there's marketing that's kind of long-term investments, perhaps things like events, inviting people for lunch and having connections with people. And then there's the more direct marketing, which I guess you could argue things like email marketing, social media. I'm gonna give you a few hacks now of marketing that I've done in the past that have really blown up for me that I think you guys could learn from. So the first one I'm gonna talk about is when promoting your business, don't promote you, promote your customers. So one of the things I did that really blew up my business is I won a client at Wall Street Journal, and he was a great client and really supportive of what we did. We did a brilliant job for him and the Wall Street Journal, and I did an ad campaign and I got the billboards for free. I went around Hong Kong, I found empty spaces on walls outside restaurants, and I asked them if I could put a billboard up there. I told them for the first few months it would be advertising from me. Eventually I'll put ads in there and they can share their revenue with me. So they let me put a billboard up all over town. I did about 20 of them. And then I put the advert up of the person from the Wall Street Journal, Olivia, his name was. I put him on an advert. So him saying how great we were up on billboards all around Hong Kong. So what this did, I promoted my client, not me. The client was blown away. Like, I made him famous. And what was really interesting, it not only increased what I said earlier, the referral program, he just was always talking about me. He even mentioned me at his wedding. He invited me to his wedding and then he mentioned me in his wedding speech, right? That I put him on a billboard, okay? And he not only promoted me to everybody, the second effect was all other clients that saw that were like, wow, Fluid isn't just a client relationship. They're promoting me personally. And remember how personal business is. You know, people always say business isn't personal. It's fucking personal. It is personal. And if you take it personally and treat people with respect and help them, you will be blown away about how that will change your life. And those people that I ended up putting about 20 different people over the years on billboards, they became close friends and clients. And you know, I'm building their personal brands while at the same time promoting my business. That's one marketing hack. The second marketing hack is community. This is such an undervalued marketing system that people, I think it's how you can beat big companies. If you think about big banks and institutions, for example, they can't communicate with their customers in an easy way anymore without getting into trouble with GDPR. But more importantly, their customers can't talk to their customers because they're so scared. Community and harnessing it is literally one of the most exciting marketing hacks of 2025. I would start a business today totally focused on community if I was you. And if you've done a niche, like I said earlier, if you follow my advice in niche, community should be really easy. So the power of community is, let's say on HelpBank, right? HelpBank is a platform we built to help people help people. There's 195,000 people registered on that platform. And the idea is that 195,000 people could all potentially promote your business today. And that costs nothing once you built it up once or you built it up initially. That community can keep on supporting you. And you, of course, must support that community. The most important thing with the community is that you understand that you all have the same purpose for being there. You don't have to have the same personality. You don't have to have the same beliefs and everything. It's just certain things you believe in. So why is everyone on HelpBank, for example? Well, they're there because they believe that everyone deserves a chance to live their dream and that they've got knowledge to share they want to give and vice versa, they want to get some help and they can't afford necessarily to pay for help or they don't want to because it's not always the best thing, right? So community is about having shared values. So if you can create even 10 people in a community, even 10 friends, and you all promise to promote each other's businesses, that's the beginnings of a community. And if you get it right, those 10 friends of yours might have a few thousand followers on their Instagram. And if they all post for you today, that could promote your business for nothing. And so like community marketing is, I'm gonna do a whole video just on that, I think. It's just so exciting and such a big opportunity. And it doesn't have to be hundreds of thousands of people like I now have in my community, hundreds of thousands of people, but you don't need it. I started with 5 people. And you know what, there's 5 people I first started with are still part of that community and very, very active. And I've helped them and they've helped the community. It's such an exciting way to build a business too. And it's a marketing hack that not many people talk about. I think it's really a big opportunity. The third marketing hack, again, this is an old one, but still really relevant, email marketing. Now, there's a lot of rules now with GDPR in England and other email marketing systems that govern how you collect data and how you use data. But I think in the beginning of a business, you're much more free. For example, if you've got, I don't know, 200 people in your university that you know, if you email them one by one, if you make the effort, you're going to avoid all these silly rules that stop early stage businesses growing because you're not mass mailing people. Email people one at a time and ask them to promote your business. Ask them if they buy your product. Ask them how much they pay. Ask them if they're willing to promote if you pay them. Get to know that 200 people in your university. Make that part of your community and you can do it through emailing. Emailing is free and weirdly, it's really weird, like you email even the most famous of people, they respond to email. It's really kind of amazing. I just emailed Mark Cuban the other day. He's actually reading his own email, right? Once he found the email, he's actually reading it. Like, I think this is such a old way, but still so underrated and it's cheap. And once you've got someone's email, like I've got 11 million people following me online, I'd give it all up for 1 million email addresses instead. Like, it's so much more powerful to have an email. And so marketing wise, focus on building an email list, okay? At number 4, I've got to mention in this day and age, social media. Now I know as soon as I say it, it's like, oh my God, he's giving social media tip as a marketing hack. Like people still aren't really realizing what's happening in social media. Like we got 350 million views on our content across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts in the last 30 days. Like, it's mind-blowing. It's the new TV. And so I don't care what your business is, you can come up with a social media viral hack, right? If you were gonna start a cleaning business, we help these 2 twins that have just started a cleaning business. So we advise them to go into the street and start cleaning stuff that no one else will clean. They've blown up on social media. They're cleaning London Bridge and they're cleaning shit that no one else wants to clean. They're making money from their social media. They're getting brand sponsorship. It's the wild, wild west out there right now. We don't need these fucking TV companies or billboards or any of it. We don't need any of it. You can just get straight out there right now with your phone and create viral content. It's easier than you think, and it's all about effort, and it's all about testing and trialing things, right? And take it from someone that's done that, right? I'm not just saying you should go build viral content. Go watch my content. It's about having a hook at the beginning that's exciting. A little bit of value, could be humor, it can be education, some value, and then an end that kind of goes, whoa, people are interested, right? Like, use it. Don't be lazy and think, oh, everyone's on social media now. No, you're wrong. Companies are losing out on social media because they're doing it shit, which means you can replace them if you do it well. Give it some real effort. That's the key. And you've got to be consistent, post generally every day, and do something that has a good hook, and do something that's fun. Get out there. Social media. It's still a hack I'm going to put in here that people haven't completely utilised. So there's some marketing hacks for you. I've actually done a whole video on marketing. I've gone very deep on this subject. So maybe after this video, go watch that. But hopefully this will help you get going at least. Right, how to build a team. Probably the most important part of building any business, despite what everyone thinks with AI and how AI is going to replace everybody. Everybody right now is telling me about how AI is going to be the next $1 billion company is 4 people and AI. Probably true. But frankly, Instagram was 11 people with no AI and still became a $1 billion company. But still, people. I think teams in general have more than just, I need people to do the work. It also creates a sense of community. Your first community in your business is probably your team. And I feel like team is such an undervalued thing. Now, stage 1 of your business is probably, like I said earlier, a co-founder, right? Someone, so I won't go over that again, but having someone that is with you that has the opposite skill to you, same moral code, that's definitely, in my opinion, step 1 in your team. Not everybody needs a co-founder. I personally really like it, and I think it can also be, it doesn't have to be a co-founder. If you've got the money and you don't need to make them a co-founder necessarily, you can just make sure they've got a skill set that you need, right? So normally I always hire an accountant or a PA when I first start any business. That's the first team member I need to complement my skills, right? I'm very badly organized, so I need someone that helps me organize that. So you've got to list what you're bad at and get that key skill in day 1 that's going to give you what you need so you don't fall over, right? So if you're bad at accounts, get someone in that's going to help you be organized with everything. The next thing on the team to think about, when you start a company, my opinion is you can hire a lot of generalists. These are people that can do everything. And generalists, and this is why I quite like interns when I first start a company, having someone that is willing to do everything. They're willing to go and get the cup of tea for someone. They're willing to sit down and go through a spreadsheet and figure out, you know, what the data says about what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. They're willing to go source stuff in China for you if you need it. Whatever it is, they're willing to do it, right? And generalists are really important at the beginning. But you still want to give some structure to your team. You want to make sure that everyone is clearly what we call OKIs, right? They're clearly listing what they're going to check, what they're going to do, and how they're going to do it. So each week, the way I do it is on a Monday, we say what we're going to achieve for the week, and on the Friday, we check in to see if it was achieved, right? So we're doing 2 posts a day. Did that happen? What happened with the product we're trying to source? You know, whatever it is, like we have a Monday check-in and a Friday conclusion. Don't manage people, manage purpose. And this is the thing I really want to make sure I get across, purpose. So once you've got your skills listed here of what you actually need, and you've got your generalists in, okay, I'm going to talk about moving away from generalists in a minute, but generalists at the beginning, people that are willing to do anything. The very important thing when building a team is including your purpose, okay? So the way I do it is I'm very clear what I want to achieve, right? I want to fix the education system. I want to help people do what they love. I want people to not be stuck in jobs they don't love. I want people to realize they can do anything. And I want people that care about that same problem. I want people who really believe that people should be free to do what they love and not trapped by what they don't know, okay? So free knowledge to people to do what they love. Now, when I'm bringing people in, they can have the skill, but if they don't care about that as much as I do, it's not going to work. So I want people to care about that as much as I do. And you can check if people do, various ways. If you're hiring someone to help you, fix something in the world that's wrong with the planet, and then you see that they're driving a Hummer, probably not true that they really care about that problem, right? So you've got to make sure that the purpose you have is clear, list it out, be super clear. By the way, this will help you get up in the morning too. If you're very clear about the purpose, it will make you go and do it. Because if you don't do it, someone dies. If you don't do it, the planet suffers, right? You need this too. But you need to make sure that people you hire in your team have this exact same thing. Now, I will just quickly highlight the mistake I made in the past. I have hired people that are available. You don't really want people that are just available. What you actually want is people that are perfect for the job. So I have done this, made this mistake. Someone says, oh, Johnny, a friend of mine, he's available. Do you want to hire him? I'm like, okay. No, That's a mistake that I have made in the past. What you want to make very clear, especially when you scale the business, is who do you actually want to work in the business? So when I was building Fluid, I was 10 years into building that company, and I realized I wanted to have someone come in as CEO and run it. And the first time I brought someone in, I made a mistake. It was someone I knew. They weren't the best in the business. I liked them and I trusted them, very important two pieces, but they weren't the best in the business. So when I brought them in, that of course meant they weren't best in the company. Even though I thought I could change them and I could train them, I was wrong. So I did it again. I hired a new CEO, and this time I went to the most successful company in Asia and I found the number 2 and I hired them. Okay, so look for the best. You know, it's harder. It might take you a little bit of time. You might have some strain where you don't have the full team that you need. You will be thanking me later if you are very patient around this. It's so important to look for the best. The final thing I'll say on team, and this is getting a bit more advanced now, but as you build up the company, you want to move away from generalists to specialists. So this a little bit ties into what I just said about having the best, but you want people that are really good at the thing that you need them for. So when I first started out building the company I'm building today, I brought in someone called Talia. She was amazing. She worked with me for 4 years. Many of you might know her. And she was really good at a lot of things. But as we grew the company, we needed people that were very good at editing, people that were very good at social media. And so I started hiring people that were very good in particular things. And that's how you grow a company. You move from generalist to specialist. I'm a generalist myself, but I become now a specialist in marketing. So what can happen with the generalists is as they're doing lots of different things, they might say, well, I really like doing the YouTube videos, but I hate cleaning the toilets, right? So then you get a cleaner in that doesn't mind doing that, right? They find that therapeutic or that's what they want to do. The point I'm getting to is that you want to make sure that you really understand the people that are generalists now as they develop and help them become a specialist in something. So I'm now a specialist in my own company. I am the marketing guy in my own company, right? I would hire me. I'm good at marketing. I am probably one of the best. You can put me in that role. But maybe 20 years ago, I wasn't the best. So I would probably hire someone in to do that role. You see what I mean? Like even replacing yourself as a founder, okay? So that's team. That's how you build a team. That's how you think about team. And don't forget to give your team equity. You don't have to do it straight away, but give people a path to ownership. Give people a piece of the business because they're never going to work as hard as you do unless they have the same purpose as you, loving what they're doing, and they get the upside that you get. So give people equity in your business over time. Hey, I hope you're enjoying today's podcast. I wanted to ask a quick favor. I've just written a book, guys. It's taken me 35 years to get all this knowledge and I put it all in here. It will help you remove any subconscious bias you have for stopping you from starting your dream. The key in this book that I want you to learn is if you want your dream to happen, you've got to make other people's dreams happen first. The link is down in the description. It would mean a lot to me if you bought it. All the proceeds from this book I'm giving away to fund dreams. So please buy it if you can. Thanks. Now let's get back to the podcast. Next up, the secret to selling. Now, the first thing I'm going to tell you about selling is it's not a dirty word. If you hear this and you think, oh, selling, don't really like selling, oh, selling, oof, you're completely mad. And if you think you can't sell, you're completely wrong and you've been brainwashed. Now, no one really wants you to learn to sell. You know why? Because you're free forever once you learn to sell. Once you learn to sell, you don't need anybody. Like every single person in my team could today go start their own business. Because they've got a skill and they can sell. And it is literally like, walking into a restaurant and saying, hey, I can take care of your social media for you if you want. It's that simple, right? Selling is not what you've been told, this kind of like used car salesman. You want to buy this car that doesn't work? No, that's not how sales really is. That's a lie. Right? Sales is literally you bonding with someone else and then buying into your vision and buying into your product and you working for them to make sure that they're happy so that they continue to use you and they recommend you to other people. Like it's a beautiful thing, sales. And there is a simple structure to selling I'm going to quickly tell you. If you want to sell something to someone, the whole idea like there's a Wolf of Wall Street, sell me this book, okay? And then Wolf of Wall Street is like, sell me this pen. And everyone misses what that whole thing's actually about. What it is like, don't sell to people that don't need a pen. Don't sell to people that have already got the book. If you've already got the book, why would I sell it to you again? Or you don't need the book. You're not looking to start a business. You don't need the book. So don't sell to people that don't need it. The golden rule is this. There's 3 steps to selling. And it's very important you do it in this order. Number 1, does the person you're selling to need what you're selling? Do your research. Don't bother selling to people that don't need it. It's very demoralizing. And you might have a conclusion that people don't want your product because you're selling to people something they don't need. So determine whether people need you. The second thing is build a relationship. Do people like you? That's why today, if you look on social media, all the social media platforms that are really popular are people, not companies. People want to buy from people. It's always the same. It's been the same for thousands of years. It's about you and me connecting. Before you buy something from me, like my book, you have to know me. You have to like me. You have to want to support my course. You want to know what I'm going to do with the money. You want to know these things, right? So like being transparent in sales is the key. Not selling shit you don't need to people. Being transparent about the ingredients in your food or the weakness and strength of the product that you're selling, right? Make a relationship with someone so that they like you and they trust you. Because the third step, which is where most people start in sales, which is the price and the product. This is the product, this is the price. Most people start there. It's a big mistake. Don't start there. That's the end. Because if someone likes you and they need you, they will find a way to pay for your product. They will find a way to make the deal work. I've actually had this where I have a relationship with someone and they need my service, where I've gone to them with a proposal of £1 million of how much I was going to charge them. And they said, Simon, charge me £1.7 million. You've undercharged in this. Because I built the relationship with them. They trust me and they need me. They need me to be successful. They need me as a business to do well. So they'll pay me more. And this is never taught to anybody because the school system doesn't want you to learn to sell because they want you to go get a job. Right? It's just that blunt. So if you're an introvert, you can sell. You can use email marketing, the other techniques I've talked about earlier. If you're introvert, you can not show your face on camera and do point of view type videos. If you're an extrovert, of course, you can go on camera like me and there's all sorts of other options, right? But you can fucking sell. Tell your subconscious you can sell. And don't think it's a dirty word. It should be the word for freedom. I think the word should be relabeled. Sales equals freedom. Learn to sell. I've actually done a whole very long video on this, but I've given you the basics here. If you want to know more, there is another video you can watch at the end of this one. But there is one final thing I want to make sure I share with you, and this is what I call the second secret to selling. Now, it does depend on your business, but the best thing you can ever do is create case studies. So a case study ultimately equals social proof, right? It proves that you are good at what you do or that your product has done what it promised via, normally, the client that you serviced. Part of this is testimonials, okay, like reviews online and stuff like that. But most of the time, it's you packaging up what you did for that client. So it could be a product. Let's say you sold a matcha tea product and someone drank it and it helped them sleep better. You want to get the tracking information and their testimonial and put together proof that this drink that they drank actually helped them do the thing you said it would do. Because in marketing, we always say, sell the sizzle, not the steak, right? Don't sell the steak. Everyone's selling steak. Sell the outcome of the product. Sell the sizzle, right? What was the result of using your product that meant people's lives were better? Okay, whatever that might have meant. So creating a case study is like the secret weapon in sales. The reason I sold my company, and I'll get into this a bit later, is partly because we had case studies that would take years and years for someone else to make. That's one of the reasons they bought the company, because we had this proof. We started something and then 1 year later we'd done it, and then we did a case study to prove how good it was. We didn't need to sell anymore. I'm a salesperson, I didn't need to sell anymore. I just send people the case study. And then they read the data, the comments, the information to say, whoa, you had this effect. That's it, I'd like to buy your product, where do I sign, right? Create case studies. It's so not talked about, and it is literally one of the most amazing hacks you'll ever create for your business, and it will create value for your business, which I'll talk about in a minute when we get onto how to sell a company, right? Case studies, learn how it works. Hopefully this helps. Next up, how to build a brand. Now, I did talk a little bit about this earlier, but you know what? It's such an important subject. I think there's so many people don't understand, even though you see Nike and Apple, all these billion-dollar companies have a brand. I think people don't understand what a brand is. So at Fluid, I'm going to quickly run through the framework of how we built one of the most successful brands in Asia, okay? The number one thing was we had purpose. Now, I'm going to tie this all together. Maybe the triangle is the best way. Purpose at the top, okay? And when I first started the company, by the way, when I first started the agency, I had the purpose wrong. So the original purpose of the business was to create impactful marketing and branding campaigns that help brands do great things, right? So in my mind, people like the Wall Street Journal were my client, okay? And I wanted to make them happy. But the problem with that is that well, first of all, every other agency was doing the same thing. The second is that I noticed after about year 2, people started to leave the company. And when I asked them why, they were like, well, we're just trying to help brands make money, you know, like, who cares about that? You know, like, I do care about it because it pays my bills, but equally, like, it's not that exciting, is it? So I'm like, okay, what would excite you? And they told me 2 things that I now build into every business. Number 1, quality of life. And what that basically meant was I was working with a lot of designers and they felt like brands just wanted to squeeze as much out of them to make money, which is, by the way, the problem I have with anyone that sells time. You shouldn't sell time, you should buy time. But they weren't really feeling valued. So a brand would say, I want it done tomorrow at 12. But like, okay, well, it's a process. Creativity is a process. So, you know, can we do it at 5? You know, and the brands were like, okay, I guess. But even doing it at 5 for the creatives was stressful, right? You're not allowed to enjoy the process because you've got to get done by 5. So quality of life was the one thing. And then the other side of it was personal goals. So the second thing I learned is that people were leaving because we weren't necessarily ticking the boxes for their personal goals, right? What did the people in the company actually want? And so we basically completely changed the purpose of the company. We switched it from the brands are our purpose to the team is our purpose. So our whole, and I've built this into every business I've run since. It's like, okay, we want people to have a quality of life. Okay, so what does quality of life mean? For some people, that's like they want to have awards. They want to win stuff. They want to prove that they're the best in the business. So part of it was winning awards, right? Being recognized for being good at their work. And then for others, it was literally being able to have time off when they want. So we basically gave people unlimited holidays. You can have a holiday whenever you want. You don't even fill out a holiday form. And so we created this whole kind of like feeling of it wasn't about executing based on what the clients want. We completely switched our purpose to being like, how can we look after our creatives so that they enjoyed working there? And you know what that did? That meant we had the best creatives in the world working with us. And you know what that means? All the brands wanted to work with us anyway because we had the best creatives, right? So it's like kind of purpose is so important when building a brand because we then won awards in Asia for Culture of the Year or Best Company to Work At, which also meant people were proud, right? Personal gains. They were like, well, I'm working for the company that, you know, was just Creative Agency of the Year and was given these awards for doing these good things for people, making things happen for the people in the company, right? So people felt like they were also part of something more important than just helping a brand like everybody else was. They were actually building culture around respecting creativity, respecting creatives, giving creatives the space to do good work, not by 5 o'clock like the brands wanted, but by when it was ready. And so brands by default would end up working with us anyway. Although they weren't happy that it wasn't done by 5, they wanted it done by us because we were the best, right? So building brand sometimes comes inward first, like your culture inside your company. And I was going to write culture here as the last thing. You know, like, what do you really want to achieve? Now, most businesses will tell you they want to make a load of money. And there's nothing wrong with making money. Like I said earlier, I want people to make money. I want people to build businesses that make money. I think charity model is broken. I think you should build a business that makes money. But the culture of the business should always be about how you're actually making a difference to not only your team, but hopefully the people you serve. And you stand for something, right? Your brand means something. That means you're going to say no to certain things. Okay, and if you look at any brand out there that's actually successful, this goes all the way back to what I said to you at the beginning about owning a niche. If you actually understand who you're servicing, you'll know who to say no to. So I remember Steve Jobs saying on one video once that everyone told him that he shouldn't be charging so much for his phone. It's not competitive. But his niche was creative people who cared about how the product looked. Okay, so he said no to having a cheaper phone. Okay, and that was the right thing to say and the right thing to do because he knew his niche, he knew his culture, he knew what his product was trying to achieve, and he was able to say no when everybody in the market told him, a phone with no keyboard at that price, good luck getting business clients. You know, he just knew what they were trying to do. He knew his brand. And I think that's why I really think people need to spend more time on this than you think, especially in the agency space. You've really got to understand your brand. If your brand isn't strong, your brand isn't good, why would another brand work with you? Your brand is going to directly reflect them. If they hire you, they're going to look at your branding and say, well, why would I work with this company? What do you stand for? What do you care about? Work on brand and follow this framework. Have purpose at the top. Think about quality of life for your people, the personal gains for your people, like giving them equity, right? Don't forget to give them equity. And then culture, what are you actually here trying to do? Don't think about the money always, that will fuck you up. Think about how you can build a brand that has value beyond money, and then you can charge anything. Brand is the product that drives up price. Nike shoes are $10 made in China. How can they charge $250 for these shoes, right? Because they have a brand, they stand for something. It means something when you wear it. People know the story. That's what you need to build in your business. Any agency that's successful has a brand. Think about it. You probably know them. Ogilvy has a brand. It means something. Overkill was all about copywriting. It was all about the art of the word. You've got to know what your brand stands for, what makes you unique, and build it into your philosophy. Finally, how to sell your business for a fuckload of money is one of my favorite subjects, and I'm going to touch on this in a way you didn't expect. Exit. Sounds like the dream, right? Sell your business. I'm going to tell you how to sell your business, but before I do, I'm going to tell you to not want to sell your business. If you want to get a lot of money for your company, or you really want to get value out of any sales process, don't want to sell it, right? Build a business you love. I have seen it too many times where people have come to me for investment. I invest in businesses, right? And they say, Simon, please invest in us. And I say, okay, sure. What's the plan? We're going to build it up over 3 years and then Uber are going to buy it. I'm like, okay, what if Uber don't buy it? I'm like, well, no, they're going to buy it. They're going to buy it. Probably not. Then what? Oh, well, we'll get someone else to run it. I don't know. We'll see. They're not building it because they love it, and I never invest in those sorts of businesses, okay? Because if you love it, you're going to get even more money for it. If you look at the biggest valuation in businesses have come when people didn't want to sell it. Instagram, the guys didn't want to sell it. They were actually talking to venture capitalist businesses a few weeks up to the sale to Facebook, and they weren't going to sell it to Facebook. That's how they got $1 billion for a company with 11 people in it, okay? Not wanting to sell it is the key to selling it. Because even for me, when I sold Fluid, I didn't need to sell it. I wasn't actually running it every day, and I had lots of free time. I was working on other projects, investing in businesses, and I was making money from the business without even working it. And I deserved it because I built it up for 10 years. My point is, we got the most amount of money because I didn't need to sell it. Now, there is a method, and I'll talk about it in a minute, about how you can proactively go and sell a company, and there is something in that. But being in love with your business, even if you get to a point, let's say I was CEO of Fluid, right? I was no longer enjoying the day-to-day, so I brought a CEO in to run it. I became chairman, which was great. I just went out and played golf with people. I smoothed with clients. I used to just chill out, thinking about the future, strategizing. I moved out of the role of CEO, which was very heavily operational, and I moved into a role I quite enjoyed, okay, a chairman role. And what I'm getting to is that to sell a business, try to be in love with it. The second thing, if you want to exit a business, and it might sound like I'm repeating myself a little bit here, but it's team. When people buy a business, they're actually most of the time buying an operational service. Now, there are cases where maybe, for example, you can buy a laundrette and you don't need someone running it necessarily. You can just buy it and take it over and install someone to go and open up the door and turn on the machines. Fine. But if you're building an agency business like we're talking about here, you really need to have key people involved in the business that are often part of the reason the company gets bought. So when my company was bought, it was literally the management team that they were partly buying. Now, they could have hired all these people, okay? And the day they bought my company, they increased the salary of everybody by 20%, roughly, right? So it's like they could afford to pay these people more than I was paying them because they're a massive company, but they couldn't hire them easily because they didn't have the culture that we had built up, back to what I was saying earlier, right? But team is crucial. If you don't have the right team in place, I even did one other clever thing that I didn't realize at the time, but now I look back and realize is I had someone else running the company at that point, right? I hired a CEO. So when I sold the company, I wasn't tied into a 4-year lock-in where I had to work for that company in an earn-out. I got the money the day one they bought the company, and I was out free to do whatever I wanted. So bringing someone in to run the company alongside bringing people in that would love running the company is key to selling a company. The third thing I'll tell you basically is partnerships. The person likely to buy your company is someone that's already benefiting from working with your company. So we actually partnered up with PwC on a project, and that project did so well and it worked out so good that they said, this is pretty interesting, we should probably buy your company. So partnering up with your potential acquirers is pretty interesting. And I always tell people 1 + 1 = 11. And it's so true in partnerships. So PwC had Fortune 500 clients, and we had a creative service that all those clients could buy. So by partnering up with them, and they have huge credibility, we could easily get new clients too, right? So from their point of view, they, at that time, were not necessarily known for their creative prowess, although they are now, but they could work with us, and we would, with case studies and all the other proof of service that we had, go to clients and say, look, we're working with Fluid, here's a case study of what they did. And we're going to bring in our financial and brain power and consultancy power and help. And so between PwC and Fluid, we can do anything for you, the client, right? And I think that really created an incredible upsell opportunity for PwC and for us to enter a whole new client base that we perhaps weren't necessarily servicing. So partnerships are really big. I don't really like this fourth thing I'm going to tell you, but I see it working for people, so I think I should mention it, which is you can package up your company, and there are companies out there that will help you sell it. Now, my personal suggestion on this is if you really want to sell, the first thing to do is what I've already mentioned, bring someone else in to run the business. Now, maybe you lose 50% of your revenue or your personal income, but you're not running it anymore, so you can go do something else. It's kind of interesting to do this because, by the way, it will help you sell it, bring someone in to run it. But if you want to sell the company, I would be really cautious about going to existing competitors. And I'd think about how someone outside the industry could benefit from buying your business. So again, in my industry and the agency business we're talking about now, the leading brands are WPP, Ogilvy, these big institutions, Lee & Burnett, these big brands. They actually did try to buy my company many times, but the amount they were offering was very low because they know how to do it all. Whereas PwC at the time were just learning how to expand into this creative space. And so they paid a premium for my business because they also were buying the learning that we had. They didn't have that necessarily, right? So I think selling to people outside your industry and not your competitors is something to think about, but you can package it up and sell it. But I would just be very cautious that you don't end up doing massive earnouts for years or spending years giving all your competition all your insight and secrets by selling to your competition. Try to think outside your industry when selling a company. But that is one way you can do it. You can package it up and do it that way. I just think you're better off loving it, building a great team and having partners, and it will probably sell itself. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm off to have some chicken now. Take care, guys.